Hi, and welcome to this reading. This is a very impromptu reading. I was picking up tower energy, things coming crashing down, but in the context of you've stayed too long, and the tower card in the tarot is major arcana. It's a God card, meaning that it's a play that you can't control. So when the divine sees that you have been too long in a situation, either you've learned the lessons and you can't remove yourself, or you need a big wake-up call because you're missing the signs and you've stayed too long. That's when the Tower card comes in. The Tower card is number 16 in the tarot. It's Mars energy, so it's action energy. And as I said, it is the tower crumbling down. It's basically a crumbling down of something so that it exposes the rotten foundations. Now, the Tower card is number 16. It comes after the Devil card. The Devil card is Capricorn energy, and it is Saturn. It's karmic lessons, but the Devil is also things that are toxic. So I'm going to pull some cards on this now. That's meant to be turned upside down, but we've got the Chariot on the bottom. So something that's happening fast. The Chariot is number 7, and we are in July at the moment. So all of my readings are timeless. Whenever you stumble across this reading, you were meant to find it. I'm an intuitive tarot reader. I pick up on energy prior to a reading. There might be one thing in this reading that your guides want you to know about a situation that you are currently in, or something, because it is past, present, future energy, something that you've gone through, maybe some sort of explanation as to why something has happened, or a heads up for something that is about to happen if you don't change your ways, or if you're trying to pull a tower down but you're needing a little bit of divine assistance. So let's get an angel to find out who is walking with you. 36 Menadel. Protects your employment and preserves your livelihood. So it might be something to do with work. Some sort of office place, argy-bargy that's going on. But if you notice, that came out in reverse, meaning often a card in reverse is stuck, feeling like you're not protected in your employment. Maybe you've exposed some sort of toxicity in your workplace. Perhaps if you're choosing to move away, there could be financial repercussions. There could be, I had a friend who just left a place of employment, but she couldn't take her customer base with her, even though she built that customer base up. It was, I want to say, is it the intellectual property? It was the intellectual property of the place of employment. But there's something toxic and seedy underneath. And I've got this image of tentacles that's almost got tentacles that's binding you to it financially, emotionally. Now, it doesn't have to be work, but that's obviously come out for a reason. What's on the bottom? Number 2, love and defense injustice. That's the Two of Wands, which is about the plans that you make. But the Two of Wands is a stopped energy. It's about, what would I do if I could? And this is, but I can't, because there's some sort of tentacle wrapped. Defense injustice, and this is why the tower's coming in. Okay, so I'm going to pop him there. Now, that's the 10 of Pentacles. That card is the 10 of Pentacles, which Pentacles are, well, it's work, really. Something that you own, something that you want to, some physical asset that you want to move. Now, it could be within a marriage. You could be wanting to, you could have unearthed some sort of injustice within a marriage and you're wanting to move away from it, but you are financially tied together. Something that is keeping you bound. Protects your employment and preserves your livelihood. And it's just giving me the energy of that couple at the Coldplay concert. Obviously, they worked together, and she was head of human resources. So in terms of, a workplace, and I don't know the requirements of that workplace, but many workplaces you can't have a relationship within a workplace. She was head of that department. And if that was the rule, then essentially the toxicity is that Oh, they made their own rules, didn't they? Love, defense, injustice. And even in that scenario, and if you look at any scenario like that where there's partners at home that aren't aware of an affair that's going on, and they're trying and trying and trying and trying and trying to put the effort in to hold a relationship together. That's what I was talking about before. God hears the conversations that are being had about you when you're not around. So if he sees that there is an injustice being done to you, he will actually pull a tower down. And that's what happened that night at the Coldplay concert. Now, again, it doesn't have to be work, romance. I mean, these cards are coming out like that. Let's see what else there is. Now, I got 3 songs. I got Run to Paradise. That's the choir boys. And when I think of paradise, something that you've created, maybe something that you've put lots of time and work and effort into. The 10 of Pentacles is the happy family life, you know, the house, the kids, the dog. Something that you've invested in, because 10's are the end, as in the end of potentially that relationship. But it is the culmination of years and years and years put into investing in a relationship. Run to paradise, something, your paradise. The 10 of Pentacles is what you deem as your paradise. Then I had the King of Wishful Thinking, Go West. That's an old song. Wishing something would be better and still putting in the effort and trying. And I think sometimes too, within relationships, if you've invested a lot of time and effort, and even if something isn't great, there are many people that stay because it's easier to stay than to start all over again. Now, that can apply to a relationship, but that can also apply to somewhere where you're working. Or even if you're a university student and you've done 3 years or 4 years of a degree and you're almost about to graduate, but you're not loving what you're doing, and you're being steered this way, you're being drawn this way, you're being divinely guided this way, but you're not getting the message. And then the tower drops and all of a sudden you have no choice. You might fail a subject. You have no choice, and God steers you in another direction because you've found yourself up a dead-end street, is what I want to say. The other thing that I got, the other song that I got was Rude. Now, that song in itself is about asking somebody's father to marry their child, and there is pushback from the father. Why do you have to be so rude? Maybe you've been putting up workplace, family, friend group. Maybe you've been putting up with something for long enough, and God's like, you know what? You've learnt your lesson. Number 15, the devil, Capricorn, which is Saturn. You've learned enough of the lesson. I'm not going to see you be walked over anymore. And so the tower comes down. The other thing I got was maybe it's something that you are doing within how you are treating your body. And I've got that book that I always pull forward, Gabor Mate, When the Body Says No. I'll pull it out so you can see it. The cost of hidden stress. You know, it's oftentimes too, you know, somebody will have a heart attack and then they go and change, or they end up with diabetes. That's a tower. Some big event, or they have a stroke, or they're working 1,000,000 hours and it destroys a relationship that they're in. Or, you know, it could be something medical. That's that tower being pulled down, but it is the divine doing it. That's what's coming through. It's the divine doing it. Let's have a look. If it doesn't serve you, cut it out. Otherwise, God will. Because a couple of months ago, the people over the back were cutting down the trees. And when you live on the boundary of somebody else, if a fence needs to be repaired or mended or changed, you know, both parties wear half of the cost each, right? Which is not a problem. So our back neighbours were actually cutting down some trees in their yard, and they found some termites in the trees, and then realised that the termites had actually gotten into the fence palings. And so they replaced some of the fence. But had they not cut down the trees, they wouldn't have known that there were termites in the fence. It's almost cutting something off at the pass before it gets too bad. Or if you continue to build on something that's got dodgy foundations, eventually it's going to crumble anyway. Let's see what else. Frustration. Building on something, and maybe you've been planting seeds and putting in the work and it hasn't been working and you are getting frustrated. It's because where you're building, you've been headed down a dead-end street. Mountain, the view from the top, that's what you're searching for. Run to paradise. What can I see from here? Look at all the things that I've done. When this mountain, like there's literally going to be a landslide. Now let me get some information on these particular angels. 36 and number 2. Soul Guardian for those born, this is number 2. Soul Guardian for those born 12:20 a.m. to 12:40 a.m. Moral Guardian for those born the 21st of March, the 1st of June, the 12th of August, the 23rd of October or the 3rd of January. And Physical Guardian for those born the 25th to the 29th of March. This particular angel gives a helping hand to people that are being treated unjustly, which goes back to this, protects your employment and preserves your livelihood. And if you look at that guy, he was that CEO of the company. The shares in that company plummeted because he was exposed at doing something that was unjust. This angel's about honor. So the 10 of Pentacles, where you've built your wealth, and have you done it in an honorable way? This angel helps to keep your employment and maintain your means of livelihood. Serves against disasters and delivers prisoners. So something that you're stuck in, where there's been some sort of toxicity or some sort of injustice. This angel gives light to distant people who have received no news for a long time and will bring exiles back to their native land and uncover lost or stolen belongings. So maybe, are you waiting for something? Are you stuck somewhere because you're waiting for something? And maybe this tower coming down exposes potentially where something is hidden. You know, if it's in a marriage, you know, money that's been put in a different account where you can't find it. Soul Guardian for those born 11:40 a.m. to 12 p.m. Moral Guardian for those born the 24th of April, the 5th of July, the 15th of September, the 26th of November, and the 6th of February. And the Physical Guardian for those born the 11th to the 15th of September. Okay, let's get an energy for, actually, let's do this. Let's do this deck. Let's see what else we need to know. Wow, that came out. Okay. That's a shell. It's one of those cone shells. This tower coming down is going to bring some sort of enlightenment to you, because when you think about, that's that Fibonacci circle, and it's about a spiritual awakening. This is part of a spiritual awakening, an ascension, because I'm just looking at an ascension. What else? Run to paradise, king of wishful thinking. Where you've been investing, and the compass card just tried to come out. Where you've been investing is potentially not your true north. You've got to go you've got to go in a different direction, because that song, King of Wishful Thinking, is by the band Go West. Go West. New horizons. Now, okay. We've got a cross. We've got 2 crosses here, right? But upside down, a lot of the 12 disciples were actually crucified upside down. So the cross is a symbol of Christ, which is a sacrifice that's been made. You've sacrificed something, but it's in reverse, meaning that the lesson was you sacrificed something. You've sacrificed too much. You've sacrificed too much in the wrong area, and now you need to be moved on. You sacrificed in the wrong area. The lesson's been learned. Moved on. The dove, new covenant, a new beginning, and time is up. That's a stopwatch. This is this tower. God pulling the tower down. It's like, enough is enough. And even if you think of the dove here, it's a symbol of peace. It's a time. Two turtle doves is if it's a relationship, it's a proper relationship. If we're talking about peace, it's peace and harmony wherever this tower is coming down. Now, as I said, it could be within your mindset, could be within your body, could be within a relationship that you're having with a loved one, with a family member, with a husband, with a partner, could be within your workplace. But wherever it is, you can't invest there anymore. If you think about the symbol of the dove, Noah had to be moved away, but it was in God's time. Even if you look at this sacrifice upside down or in reverse, enough of a sacrifice has been made. No more. And we've got the scarab bead on the bottom, which is part of your spiritual awakening. Now, isn't that interesting? It's transformation energy. Okay, let's get some cards for you. Temperance, it's divine timing, balance, Sagittarius and Jupiter energy. Jupiter is the wheel of fortune. It's time for the wheel to turn. And it's being turned by this tower coming down. The Two of Swords, you're not going to see it coming. That is the moon in Libra. Libra is about balance, but the moon is things that are hidden. Things that are done in the dark, things that are hidden, are about to be exposed. Your energy, this is the energy around you. Things that are hidden are about to be exposed. This is you, Four of Swords, not aware. If you can see, he's sleeping there, right? But, as I said, the tower is divinely led. It is a divine action. It's something that you can't control. And maybe that's why, if you've stumbled across this reading, maybe as things are falling apart, if you know that it's actually happening for you. What's that saying? It's not happening. It's happening for you, not to you. It's happening so that you can get a new beginning, so that you can plant your seeds in the right place. Because you were going down a dead-end street. It's happening in your soul. It's also a card of healing. In your soul, the Chariot moved along, but it did come out in reverse. Number 7, moved along, but divinely moved along. The other thing is too, the Chariot requires balance. So it requires balanced energy. We've got two people here carrying. One person can't carry it. Maybe you've been carrying all the load. So in order for your soul to head in the correct direction, instead of going down this one-way street, even if you think about one-way or dead-end street, maybe you've been going round and round in circles. Your soul's been carrying all the load. And in order to come back into balance, this tower has to come down. Okay, the message from the man upstairs. Yeah, death, rebirth, a new beginning, the end, number 10, the end. Time's up is what I heard, time's up. And the outcome. And we've got the Five of Wands underneath, which is fighting, competition, jealousy, envy. The Five of Wands is Saturn in Leo. So it's big prideful energies that if people are fighting, it means that they are still bogged down in a karmic lesson that they're not willing to address. The outcome. Not all the time, but the High Priestess. The High Priestess is tapping into your You're in a dialogue, but in this instance, because it's sitting, we've got a card of things being hidden, injustice, sacrifice, and the High Priestess is also things that are hidden. So it's almost, it's revelation energy. Revelation that brings transformation. Wow, and look, and it brings justice. That's beautiful. I just said, let's blow this popsicle stand. Okay. Okay, let's get some, what do I want to get? Let's get some of these. This is my travel deck. It is quite big. I'm going to split it in half. And I'm going to get one card for each of these. What you don't know. The energy around you, what you don't know. Well, and maybe this has already happened. What you don't know. Something about home. Something about the foundations of a home. Or where you've built have been toxic. And widespread, because that is a painting that I have. This is my travel deck. This is a painting. Yeah, look at that. Budapest, Berlin, Nice, Montpellier, Barcelona, Paris, Tokyo, Brisbane, and then flight delayed. You've been stuck. You've been stuck somewhere where you've built. And maybe you've continued to invest there because you didn't know the foundations were rotten. And we go back to that, you know, that couple that were exposed at that concert. Let's have a look here. This is you, healing energy. Now, that's in Prague, but it came out in reverse. What you'd planted wasn't growing. Or maybe you thought it was. The king of wishful thinking. Maybe you thought it was. Building castles. Castles. Is that a Freya writing song? Castles. The Chariot. This is your soul. The Chariot. These cards keep flipping in reverse. That just reminds me of Stranger Things, the upside down, right? What I get from that card is, as your soul wakes up through this tower coming down, you are going to be able to look back in reverse and see everything that led up to this point. And that is that energy here of recognizing that this is happening for you, not to you. It's happening so that it's almost like a stock take, right? So that your soul can take inventory. So that when you go to build your tower again, you're building it in the right soil. And look, time's up again, Big Ben. That was actually coming through. I was getting that message, London Bridge is falling down. Okay, that's in Rome. That's on the bridge that goes across to the Castello di Angelo, which is the castle of angels, meaning you're being watched over. Your soul's being watched over. But that guy, Hadrian, was the emperor at the time, built that. He built this big monolithic castle with the intention that it would ultimately be a mausoleum for him and his family when they all passed away. Well, he didn't end up getting married and he didn't have any children because he was an absolute AWS. Like egoic, toxic to the core. So something that a toxic person has built and you're wrapped up in. Okay, let's have a look at this death card. I'm going to try it. It's quite a big deck, shuffling these together. That's in Nice. The Vatican. And that's the road into Ephesus. Okay, I get it. So, when I was traveling, this is my travel deck. This is a message from the men upstairs. And it's a bit Coldplay, right, in terms of what happened in that scenario. We were in Nice. We had travelled through Turkey, into Greece, and then into Italy. And on our journey, so this is the beginning of the Catholic Church. So obviously it started in the Holy Land, but after the sacrifice was made, all of the 12 apostles took off to the four corners of the earth, and a couple of them actually ended up in Turkey. 300 years later, so the beginning, 300 years later, Constantine made practicing Christianity legal. In that trip, we met a guy, and I actually think it was in Prague. We met this guy, and he was a young single guy. He was from Australia, young single guy. He was telling us all about how he was traveling around Europe, how he was literally finding girls in every city. He would have been in his mid-20s. How he was finding girls in every city. He was having a whale of a time. He told us, obviously, his name because we'd spent a couple of days with him, because, you know, when you backpack, you sort of tend to go in pods of people that are going, oh, well, okay, you're going to this city next. Right, well, let's all catch the train together, that sort of thing. So we knew a lot about him. We knew where he worked. We knew his first name. We knew his last name. We knew everything. And that by the time we'd come across him, he'd literally been with a lot of people through his travels through Europe. Then we ended up in Nice, and he'd gone elsewhere, and we ended up in Nice, and we sat down at the McDonald's in Nice to get something to eat. And a young girl came in, she was maybe in her mid-20s, with her mum, and they were trying to read the menu. I jokingly made a joke about, oh, you know, it doesn't help if you don't speak French. They recognised that we were Australian, they went and got some food, and they came and sat down and started talking to us about where they'd been travelling and where they were headed. They were doing a mother and daughter trip through Europe, and then her mum was actually going with her to London to help her set up. She had a working permit to help her set up her apartment, and going to stay with her for a couple of months until her boyfriend arrived, because he was headed there as well on a working permit. She was telling us about her boyfriend and how they'd been together for many years, and that they were hoping to get married, and her mum was saying what a lovely guy he was, and she would be blessed to have him as a son. And I was sitting there intuitively knowing that she was talking about the guy that we'd spent a couple of weeks with, who had literally been planting seeds all over Europe. And I don't know what you would do in that situation, but I wanted to arm her with the knowledge of what was going on so that she could make a decision based on factual information. And so we told her, and we verified that it was the same guy. We saw a photo of him, knew his name, that sort of stuff. I'm not sure what happened there. Obviously for her, the tower dropped. In that scenario, she was divinely guided to go to that McDonald's that day in Nice. I believe she was divinely guided to go there because she was meant to bump into somebody that would reveal some sort of truth to her, because maybe she was in a situation where things weren't great, but she had hope. She, you know, that king of wishful thinking, she had hope that things would be better. Maybe if they moved elsewhere, maybe if they travelled overseas. And the divine brought down the tower. That's why that's there. So we've got the beginning of the Catholic Church, and this here, that's in the Vatican, Judgment Day. That's the Sistine Chapel, on the back wall of the Sistine Chapel. Now that's obviously, I can't even remember what that is. Relics of the cross underneath. Somebody's buried under there. So it's the end. It's death. The opportunity for a new beginning. Because something hidden is coming to light. No more sacrifices. No more putting somebody else first. Or no more of you being sacrificed. Injustice means that you are somebody who is doing the right thing, and you're either being taken for granted or taken advantage of. Okay, High Priestess. That was a big long story. Yeah, this is again Ephesus, but that is the library in Ephesus. And whenever that comes out, I think of Akashic Records. There's information that's coming forward to you. We've got light here, again, Turkey, information that's coming forward to you. Maybe you've been looking at things, and we've got stained glass windows, looking at things through rose-colored glasses. Can't see the forest for the trees. And now we've got a close-up of that. It's being brought to the forefront. How beautiful is this? So this is Prague. I took that photo because all of the buildings were dark. They were grotty, actually. All of the buildings were dark and grotty, and then it had this white window. So it's almost like illumination. But this is what's been built. The castle that's been built on dodgy foundations. That's a Castia d'Angelo. The castle of angels. And this is looking out from where this tree is. This is upside down, but what you're actually seeing here. Oh, look at that beautiful river. Look at that beautiful castle. Look at this that I'm building. But it's rotten to the core. Apple rotten to the core. Yeah, it's time to move on. Got a journey card on the bottom there. Now let me just pop these here. Let's see. Is there any guidance? Aside from the fact that whatever's happening, as I said, is happening for you, not to you. It might feel crap, but it's for your benefit. Acceptance. I'm embracing the truths I cannot alter. And self-worth. I carry within me the luminous gifts of the soul, enriching both my spirit and those around me. It's so that you can plant your seeds somewhere better, in better soil. And trust. I embrace the wisdom of my inner voice, trusting it will always lead me true. Okay, I'm going to get you some Scrabble tiles. Letters and numbers in here. It does make a little bit of noise when I shake it. If you've got hearing sensitivity, just turn your volume down. I'm going to shake it in 3, 2, 1. Oh, do I want... Sometimes they get stuck in there. Maybe you're feeling stuck. Okay, so we've got an R and a 1, an O and a 1, a H and a 1, a Q and a 10, an X and an 8, an F and a 4, a G and a 2, an S and a 1, a K and a 5, a W and a 4, a J and an 8, an L and a 1, and a V and a 4. When that came out, I heard Scott. Then I heard Great Scott. And Great Scott is from the movie Back to the Future. And when you think about Marty McFly, he goes backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards, trying to change things to change the outcome. But what this is here is God's actually saying, no, no more. Enough is enough. God's changing the outcome by removing you from this situation. Now, I'm going to get 3 final cards. Let's do this deck. See what else, anything else you need to know. The High Priestess. Hidden things coming to light. The Four of Swords. The Four of Swords is healing. It is Jupiter in Libra, but it's a turning of the wheel so that you can heal. The King of Cups, which is Neptune in Pisces. Neptune is the bottom of the ocean, bringing up things from the bottom of the ocean. And the Six of Pentacles is bringing in balance. Now, Mercury is communication coming through. Something coming through to you. And look at that on the bottom. How beautiful is that? We've got the Tower, which is what I was seeing at the beginning of this reading, the messages that were coming through. The Tower is about to come down. That's what I've got for you. Thank you so much for joining me for this reading. If it resonated with you, please give it a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I do post regularly. What I didn't say was all of the decks that I use on my channel are my own designs because I'm also an illustrator. So if you call to any of those, the links to them can be found in the description box. Any songs that I mention will also be found there. Any movies, anything like that, because there might be more messages in them for you. Thanks again, and I'll see you in another reading.